Welcome, adventurers from across time and space. 5 creators have been brought together from across the internet for one purpose and one purpose alone: to travel through time and have a good time doing it. When big changes happen to the timeline, the change attracts other time travelers like gravity. They won't be able to move past it until they fix whatever was messed up. So our heroes are stuck together, but only for the time being. You're stuck with each other, whether you like it or not.
That makes me feel like there is some sort of time goo that has stuck us all together.
I mean, a little bit.
Time travel is gross.
Oh, it's so icky. Everything is biology when you get down deep enough. Welcome, everybody, to the show. This is our first adventure. I'm so excited to have these 4 people gathered around this table. It's going to be so good. So let's start by going around the table. I'll have you introduce yourselves and your character, and then tell us a little bit about what your character's deal is. So let's start off with Sarah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Moore. My pronouns are she, her. And today I'm going to be playing Elena Rhodes, whose pronouns are also she, her. And the little tagline I came up with her deal is that she is Captain America meets Fay Ray.
Hell yeah. All right, next up, Stella. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your character.
My name is Stella Cheeks. My pronouns are she, her, and I will be playing Aixa Zalar, third daughter of the House of Rakal. Her deal is that she's a time traveler from space, and she's got weird hands. She's got really long, creepy fingers. And that's important for you all to
know. What is the essential characteristic of this character? Hands. Oh, I know. Creepy fingers. Ben, tell us a little bit about yourself and your character.
Hey, I am Ben, he, him pronouns, and I am playing Mason Rockwell. He is a mountain of a man, but he's got a soft heart. He is a down on his luck private eye.
And finally, Omar, tell us about yourself and your character.
Hello, everyone. I am Omar Burgos, aka Tailweaver. I accept any pronouns, and I am playing Pharaoh Biscaterius Meowrick Felinius Percival the Grand, but people call me Whiskas.
Amazing.
I am a feline cat in all my glory, from a timeline where the kittens and the cats ruled ancient Egypt. And the humans were, they were my sons.
I'm so excited. I'm Ansel, the Indecisionist. I use he, him pronouns, and I am stoked. This is going to be good. We will begin our adventure on the plains of Mesopotamia. There is a sort of desert environment that dominates the sort of close up to the camera area, as we are in sort of a wide open plain. In the distance, you can see the rivers and the verdant life that they bring into this area. And beyond, you can see farmland and cities, houses and towns. But here in this space, this is largely a big, flat, open plain with scrub here and there. There is the sound of conflict near at hand. And somewhere, I'm going to say the sort of the cinematic moment that happens as the camera sort of pulls up from the little scrub that is dotting the ground in this area. As the camera pulls up and we get to see the fertile rivers and the buildings beyond, a single arrow flies in from the corner of frame and lands in the middle of one of those tufts of grass. And we hear the clash of battle just off screen. I think it is in that moment that our first adventurer arrives.
The arrow thunks in and then the camera racks focus. And in the background of that shot, a petite-ish woman, about 5'5", comes sort of combat rolling into view and lands. The only way that you could imagine is like somehow for that camera that we are looking through, which is very strange. And she whips her hair back, this like long, dark, wavy hair. Her makeup is perfect, but somehow also she is smudged, but in a very pretty way. And she gets up and like dusts herself off, and then just like puts her eyes, like shading her eyes to look to the horizon, but pulls them up a little bit because she is very aware of her light.
She wants to see, but she also needs her
I mean,
eyes to
it's
do
in her
that. Yeah,
contract to have sort of a soft focus light across, like the Shatner light across her eyes, because she needs to be seen. So she needs to see, but also be seen.
I like the idea that whenever you're on screen, that you have been shot
Absolutely.
in soft focus, and we can see the bounce panel sort of finding you.
I'm not sure that everybody is looking just off camera, but she has a team. There are people there making sure she is lit properly. There's a bounce card just off, just out of frame.
The camera pulls back just a little bit, since we got the view for your camera. Now we pull back a little bit and we see the cameraman, the lighting guy, and who was the third person? Was it makeup?
I mean, obviously. Yeah, she's there. I mean, I don't know if we talked about it. My stunt double is technically there, but I don't use her. I do all of my own stunts. So she's just she's just kind of there. She is the cover to have my girlfriend on set at all times, is that she's my stunt. She doesn't even look like me, but she's like blonde and 6 foot tall. It's not the same.
You put a wig on, they'll never know. They'll never know. Yeah. Amazing. So as this amazing like dive roll entrance is happening, the camera does pull back. We see the rest of your team, and then it sort of whip pans around to the other side of the scene. And as it does, just as it's speeding past, we see this massive battle. Two enormous armies coming together, clashing in just truly magnificent Hollywood celluloid glory. Chariots are running back and forth across the back of the battlefield on one side. The armies are seemingly very poorly matched. One has all this infrastructure, the other not so much. One is carrying these very fancy bows, the other not so much. It seems like this is going to be a pretty rough battle for one side. But we don't have enough time to process all of that. No! Whoop! We flip around to the other side to somebody who's arriving probably about, I don't know, like 20 yards away from where we just got our little Hollywood intro. Who do we think arrives in this area of the scene?
In the like desert area that you just described, there starts to be like a shimmery kind of light. So it looks like kind of like the air right after it rains, like right before the like rainbow kind of forms. That like, or also like the desert heat, the kind of like waves.
Mm.
So that kind of starts to manifest. And then in the beam, not like shooting down, but like turning out of it comes Aixa, who is in all white. It looks like if a spacesuit and a Met Gala dress like had a baby. And she's got just white hair and like very, very pale skin. And like I said, real creepy long fingers. Looks humanoid, just like slightly off. So she takes a moment, dramatically turns, revealing the alien Met Gala realness. Looks at her, for lack of a better term, watch, like armband, kind of takes a moment to do some fiddling to kind of figure out where she is, gets the reading, and then as she gets the reading, starts at her head, but kind of like waves her hands behind her and down her body to like change the like shape of the outfit to like be period dress. Like it doesn't change her hair or her skin or anything. They haven't come up with that technology, but they can kind of like transform your outfit to be like period appropriate. So now she's in kind of like the desert gear, more heat appropriate, and kind of just doesn't look lost, but is just like she just took a very intense trip and is kind of like blinking into the sunlight, like, okay, reassessing. Here we are, back on Earth.
Incredible. I am finding you references for what your outfit might
Excellent.
look like.
Put it on my Pinterest board.
Yeah.
Is that a
My
thing that
Pinterest
we
board
can
is
release?
mostly alien hands.
To go with it, can we release Aixa's Pinterest board as like a little bonus
heck yeah.
content?
Absolutely. Again, it's mostly just alien hands.
It's important. It's important stuff.
I have
That
seen
seemed
that
to be. I mean,
Pinterest
that was a
board.
very important part of the description. So they need reference.
Yeah, because I wanted something where I look humanoid, but there's like one thing about me that's like not right. Yeah, so it's very elegant. It's a disorienting way to travel by the Mistine.
All right. So as Aixa is adjusting and her clothing sort of shimmers into place, I think we push past that moment and see just in the background. I'm gonna guess that it's just like a little bit darker over there for some reason. Maybe there's the shadow of like a single stalwart desert tree that's been there for years and years, just enough to give us a weird slant of light. As I'm one of the two of you can take advantage of that location. Who do we think is ready to intro next?
Yeah, I can go.
I had a feeling.
So, yeah, in that dark shadow, you kind of some like smog, maybe some like pollution comes through, and you hear like faint notes of jazz trickling through, and then out steps this large, dark-skinned man wearing like a tan suit with like a trench coat over it and a fedora. His face is like pretty badly scarred and everything as he goes through, and immediately he's struck by the light because where he's from, it's somehow always dark and raining 24/7. But this is a total like 180 flip on his world. It is bright, it is dirty, he's hot. He immediately takes off his trench coat. He keeps the hat on for the shade, but he is looking around holding like this kind of funky looking pocket watch that he had just activated or like tried to turn on in his world, and he had ended up stepping through this portal into he's not sure where.
I love it. I don't know why, but I'm getting like Columbo vibes from like, well, guess I got to deal with this. Take off the trench coat, look around. All right. And finally, I feel free to reject this, but I feel like the camera pans just up a little bit. And we see in the branches of the tree the arrival of our final adventurer.
Alrighty. Question, are our allies with us, or is just us coming by ourselves?
If you specifically travel with a crew, you can have a crew with you, or like, people. The allies that you drew in your deck are not necessarily with you unless it suits you to have them with you.
Perfect. That's one to be sure.
Yeah, no worries.
So as the camera pans up towards the tree, there's a blowing of the branches and the leaves as a Ankh appears about the size of a small door that pierces the air. And as it does this, a golden light comes behind, and it's just this majestic, godlike beam that shines onto the branch. And a shadow appears from the other side of this large, monstrous quadrupedal creature stepping forward, and it zooms in, and this small feline cat, a sphinx adult cat with iridescent eyes that just glow and shimmer from the sun above, gray skin, pointy ears that stand up, wearing what looks to be a skull cap like helmet that goes down the middle of his head between the ears, and it's just adorned with gold and jewels. He has the same pattern down his back of some type of like metallic cat like armor, and it comes out to around his waist a kilt-like armor that's just, of course, covered with this gold and jewels, and everything just scream opulence as he steps out, looks around him, and just licks his paws. And you just hear an odd human-like sigh coming from him.
That's sick as hell. I didn't realize you were going to be wearing armor, and I love it. That's so good. And so at this point, the camera finally pans away from the four of you and back to this active battle. And it's just in time for us to see as one of the combatants notices that there are people over there, and we see them throw a spear from the battlefield right into Mason's eye line. Mason, how do you think you react to having a spear thrown at you?
I think I'm a little bit, again, blinded by the sun and everything because it's bright here, but not too kindly once I realize what's going on. I'm just like, hey, buddy, you got a problem? What's going on?
Amazing. With that, let's do our first draw of the game. Yeah. Start off with the heavy stuff. So, many of you will not have gotten to play this game before, and therefore, just like our players at home, our audience at home, I'm going to explain the rules as much as I need to, and I'll keep explaining it a little bit afterward anyway, because that's the point of this show. Before today's adventure, all four of you got to create a character, and you drew that character up on a deck of cards. This deck of cards represents your character's history and their capabilities. It's very much the character sheet of your character, or of your experience in this particular game. And so the first thing that we're going to do whenever we get into a conflict is draw 3 cards. These 3 cards are going to represent the totality of this conflict. Now, that means that 3 cards will represent everything from a 2-minute bar brawl to a 4-year war. All of those things are encompassed in this three card spread. And the reason that we can do that is because the card spread is here to help us tell a story. It's not going to define any individual actions. It's not going to define your character's number of times getting punched. This is going to represent the sort of totality of that experience in a beginning, middle, and end. So the first card we draw will be the beginning of the conflict. The second card will be the middle of the conflict, and the final card will be the end. As we go through the conflict, you are allowed to change the order of the face down cards in front of you. So you can Monty Hall yourself all you want until the time that those cards are revealed. So let us start by dealing out 3 cards. Now, I know you're going to ask, do I have to start with one or the other? No, you can start with any of the 3 because, like I said, you can Monty Hall yourself all you want. And when you're ready, we'll flip over the first card, revealing that first value.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. So I have flipped over the first card in my spread, and I will be playing as the 2 warring armies in this situation. So I'm actually going to draw a second set to represent the other army.
I would like to object that both armies get to have a turn. That feels unfair to us as small players. Yeah, that feels.
As PCs, yeah.
It's just like lodge my complaint. Okay.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair. Overruled, but totally fair.
Well, I tried. I gave it a shot.
Had to try.
Here's the reason that this is actually more fair for you is that they are fighting each other and only barely notice that you're there. The 4 of you do not stand. The 4 of you probably won't register for the majority of the armies involved. So I have got a 10 and an 8 to represent the actions of these armies, which tells me that in this first section of the conflict, 10 is going to be the number that you want to beat to sort of make a major impact on what's going on in the moment. But it also tells me that the Akkadians are doing better right now than the people of Kish. You don't have any context for that, but that's who these two groups are. So what did everybody else get? And is it a marked card?
I did not get a mark card, but I did get the King of Diamonds.
Ooh, okay. Got a king. Excellent.
I got the 10 of hearts.
10. Okay, great. Ties go to the players.
I got the Queen of Spades.
Okay, got a queen. And a
3 clubs.
All right.
I never remember this one.
Yeah. So
I
you got
have
a
for my whole
queen.
life called it puppy feet. So sorry about that, because that's what I'll be calling it. 3 of puppy
The 3
feet.
of puppy
Cannon.
feet. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Love it.
I'm a fan. I like the 3 of puppy feet. So this is a taxing situation. You are in a physical conflict in a war zone, and that means that you are in exceptional danger. In this game, when you're in a taxing situation, if you draw lower than me, you're going to lose the top 5 cards off of your deck. So those just get discarded.
Seems rude.
I know, right?
I
Very.
mean, we just started.
Especially the first
God.
one.
All right.
We just started. Don't worry,
The
there's
audacity.
47 more
Yikes.
where that came from. Or 49, even more than that.
Since we're explaining the mechanics,
all
it's
right.
just so we have a discard
Yeah.
pile, but if we run out, then we just re-up that pile.
Thank you for asking. So in the event that we somehow run out of cards, which has not happened yet, but boy, howdy, am I going to try. In the event that we run out of cards, it is just like any other role-playing game where you run out of your energy or mana or health points or whatever. Y'all got to take a rest. Y'all got to just chill out for a minute and
Union break.
reshuffle. And yeah, so you take your union break and you reshuffle. It's a break in the scene. It's a break in the story. It forces you to find a place to rest. And yeah, it represents your sort of accumulated stress and tiredness and injuries. And you'll reshuffle and we jump right back in after that sort of story break. Great question.
Can I assume that if you don't take a break and you run out of cards, then if something else happened, you would just automatically lose to it since you don't have nothing to draw?
Yes, effectively. At that point, if you opted to if like the rest of the group opted to keep going, basically your character, by being out of cards, you're kind of like unconscious or unable to contribute to the scene, you know? So if the other players somehow have more cards left, which is possible, they could keep going and just sort of pull you along as like collateral. But yeah, that generally speaking, it's like in Masks where like you've got all your conditions, you just have to leave now.
You're
Bye.
just like glitching through the wall, like T-posing, like glitched
I'm
in.
just
Whoops. I actually think I know that.
Yeah, I was
listen,
gonna say we could carry you.
Yeah.
that was a joke, but I do think it would be interesting if it's like a glitch in the time stream, like making you not as corporeal in that space.
Ooh.
You got less time goo.
Oh, I like that.
You've had
Let's
too much time
remember
go on
that.
you, and now you can't.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere.
Blasted time goo. All right, so we have a king in play, Omar. What do you think is your immediate reaction to what's going on around you? Whatever you're trying to do in this moment is going to be successful. You know that going in. So as this is the story of the beginning of this conflict, what do we think is the response that Whiskers brings into this moment?
Well, being a pharaoh and a master tactician, Whiskers would first observe the side that's winning, which you said were the
The Akkadians.
Akkadians?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Acadians.
And
And then
and you might honestly know something about the Acadians if you wanted to draw for it. Like, these guys are like, their history for you, but their history you might know.
ooh, I would love to draw for it.
All right, fantastic. So this is going to be a simple draw. I will draw a card. You will draw a card. If your card is higher, you know the thing.
All right. I drew the King of Hearts.
I drew a 4. So for sure, boy, howdy, do you know about the Acadians?
Oh,
There's also a symbol on here,
Ooh.
which
So this is a marked card draw.
Yes, let me pull open the notes so I can recall what this is.
Can you describe the symbol for us?
It is the triangle with a plus sign underneath it.
Ah, yes. This is one of your backstory cards.
Oh, yes, this is one of my backstory cards. Do I say what the backstory is?
Yeah, please. So this should tell us that something about the element of your backstory that this card represents is inspiring you or in some way is relevant to why you have this information.
Can you remind me what hearts means?
Hearts generally refers to those who pray or those who seek a higher power in the way that they get their power, ability, or status.
Oh, yes. So I remember. This is how. So Whiskers is not like any ordinary cat. Not only can he, well, talk, as you'll find out, but he also has divine powers. Limited, but yes, that he pulls from the gods, specifically the goddess Bast. And this card represents how he used it to. He's not a fighter, but he's a smart, keen mind, so he can get otherworldly knowledge and understanding of the situation and battle tactics to basically get what he wants out of it.
Okay. And so you think this is almost like a divine inspiration sort of thing?
Yeah.
Bast is just sort of like beaming the knowledge of the Acadians into your brain.
Yep, and I know every last detail, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how to use them to benefit my current standing.
I think that's very cool. So yeah, I think as you look across the battlefield and you sort of give it this tactical view, maybe we even see it through your eyes for a brief moment. We can see that the Acadians are clearly the aggressor in this situation, and they have come with far greater forces. The Acadians have a very particular fighting style. It's very intensive, especially in this point in their history, that it requires enormous amounts of support. So they have chariots that run back and forth at the back of their lines, resupplying their archers and javelineers with ammunition. You can see this happening in the conflict in front of you as these resupply chariots sort of run back and forth across the sort of terminal lines at the back end of the Akkadian force. At the front, they're using what I think you would recognize as a phalanx position. So they're locked together. They're super tight. They're using spears. The like infantry at the front are terrifying. And the forces of Kish are sort of breaking against that wall like water. You can also see that actually, I think because you did so well with this card, I'm going to go ahead and say that you noticed something out of place. As you're seeing the bows being restocked at the back, the arrows being restocked, I think you would notice that the bows that the archers are using are not what you would expect. I don't think you can quite pick out what's wrong at this exact moment. It's kind of off in the distance. You're more on the Kish side of the conflict, but there's definitely something up with the bows. I think that's what you get from this successful history poll.
Okay. I'll keep my eye on that. And Whiskers will, being the battle prowess kitty cat that he is, will see the winning side, see the stronger side, knowing that victory is the greatest of rewards, and will find whoever is in charge and just kind of make his way onto the battlefield, dodging arrows left and right, being a nimble cat, before landing on top whoever seems to be the captain, and maybe would be able to speak the language, having that beam of divine energy, can talk to these people and says, "Your defenses are weak here. Please, you combine your forces here with the phalanx, and then have the infantry then fire volleys after the archers. Go overhead, steady your defenses," and start commanding and basically taking over as the battle tactician of this in his element.
Amazing. Okay, so at the beginning of the conflict, you do your sort of assessment, and you're going to head over and talk to Sargon, the king of battle, first emperor in the world, supposedly. Sargon. That's what starts off with Whiskers. Ben, you had the queen, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us about what's going on for you.
Mason is looking around, and then he's going to pull out his little detective's notebook and write down, like, and you kind of hear like the inner monologue, like, "I'm in a strange desert, not really sure what's going on."
Yes.
Above me, a cat just appeared. Something with light hit it, and it took off into the battlefield, and I believe it is speaking to one of the high-ranking officers. I'm not really sure what's going on. And I'm just going to like put my notebook away and kind of try to slink into some shadows, because that's where Mason does his best work, is hiding and like stealth and subterfuge. So I'm just going to try to, okay, all right, no one sees me. There was that, the spear came towards me, but surely they've got to be distracted with the other combatants and the cat. So I'm going to step out of here real fast.
I like it. Okay, so Mason is just sort of like getting this opening monologue and then sort of noping out to safety. That's a brilliant choice.
I think what I want to do is go up to the javelin that was thrown at Mason or at us and assess it, kind of see if it is like time period appropriate, if it's, because we just landed and I'm like, okay, why am I here? So I kind of want to see it, see if there's anything weird about it. I can't really tinker with a javelin, but kind of just like seeing if it's sus at all. And also maybe, yeah, that's what
Amazing.
That's what I would do.
Yeah. I like it. Okay, so go ahead and let's do another skill draw just to see what you can, if you're able to suss anything out about this.
And this is a new card, not out of the 3, right?
Yeah, a fresh card. Yep, off the top of your deck.
Jack of Hearts.
A jack. All right. Is that a marked card? No? Okay.
Just a regular card.
I got a joker. So that has a value of 0. So you definitely are able to fully get all the information that you possibly could out of this spear. I will tell you everything I can think of, and then feel free to ask additional questions, because you did get such a high differential there. This is incredibly period appropriate. Everything about this javelin seems right. Based upon what you know of like the progression of technology in different worlds, you're going to assume that you're in sort of a pre-industrial, Bronze Age-y sort of situation. I think you can probably identify that these people have probably settled down into city-states of some sort, just based upon the ability to like gather the resources that would be required to both collect the metal, smelt it down, turn it into this, then form an army. You know, like you're able to assess a lot about like the technological position of these armies based upon the technology that goes into making a spear like this one. It's a sort of a metal alloy that makes up the tip. The handle has been crafted, you know, consistently and well. This wasn't, you know, this isn't a one-of-a-kind piece that was made by somebody specifically for somebody else. Like, this goes in a rack of other identical spears that all have to match, because, you know, anybody's going to have to be able to throw it, and they're going to have to know how it's balanced, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I think you're able to gain a lot of, like, contextual information, probably similar to what you, Stella, already know about Mesopotamia.
Really
you know,
guessing
sort of like,
that I know
oh,
a
yeah,
lot about ancient Mesopotamia.
I'm guessing
Yeah.
you don't, honestly. I'm guessing,
Okay,
like,
good.
broadly speaking, yeah, like, cradle of civilization. All right, yeah, this is probably pretty early in the like written history periods. Yeah, like, all right. But nothing about the artifact like pings your any of your detectors or sensors as being
Cool.
out of place.
Can I like scan it or whatever, and then can I like break the tip off and keep the metal tip?
Absolutely, yeah.
So I just scan it and then snap it, presumably with my weird hands, and keep the tip.
Is there anything else that your character does at the very beginning here to either protect herself or take action against someone else that's involved?
How far away are we from the battle?
You are probably like 100 yards from the battle itself, so you're pretty safe where you are, except for like rogue javelins and you know, arrows and what have you.
This is kind of a meta question, but since this is our first game,
Yeah.
so I know that this is not the first time I have time traveled. But is like running into other time travelers on these things like normal at this point? Even if I've potentially never met them, is it like normal to be like, oh, here's a gang?
That is a great question, and I think that it's probably happened to you a few times, but I think it's probably kind of hard for you to put in context unless someone has explained it.
Okay.
Because of the way that you time travel. In fact, does anybody here time travel in a targeted way? Like, does anybody know when and where they were gonna end up when they leave?
Only a little bit, because I always show up in an appropriate costume.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So I have like the tiniest bit of foreshadowing, basically.
Is it part of like a magical girl transformation back in your home timeline? Or do you like plan out, okay, today I'm going to wear my Mesopotamian costume?
My costumer does it. I don't do anything. They tell me what I'm supposed to wear. They team.
Oh, right. The team does it.
Make me look right. I'm just
amazing.
I'm just the talent. I don't know. I'll just show up, do my thing.
Then I think your team have probably sworn a little bit here and there when you do run into other time travelers, because it's usually a sign that something has gone awry. And I think those are the few times where you're like not wearing the right costume.
Yeah. I would imagine that I look like when Hollywood is like, well, it's the 20s and they're going to ancient Egypt or thereabouts. You know, she's like, yeah, she looks like she's in the Mummy when she should look like she's in actual mummy times.
Yeah, there's super heavy makeup, broad strokes at the history of the period. I think that's very cool. So yeah, I think you've probably you especially have probably run into other time travelers with some frequency because of the way that you travel. But I don't know that you would know that it's weird again because of the way that you travel.
I see Mason slink off to hide in the shadows even though we're in full desert. I'll be like, okay.
He's got that one tree.
The shadow that follows him in his noir-ness. And I see the cat like being run off, but then I do see this woman and her team. So I think I actually would go up to you guys. I don't even know if I would say anything because I'm a weirdo, but I think I would just like place myself near you guys. Like whatever happens, I'm also here.
Great.
I like the idea that you clearly do not belong here. We are clearly together.
Yeah. The cat seemed to know what was going on. So like, who knows, right? But whatever's going on here, that seems wrong. So we must be friends.
Feels
right. But I'm also like, I feel like I'm still getting used to Earth communication. So I'm just like, half of the battle is just standing next to somebody until they talk to you first, I think is what I've learned.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Are you ready for more? Do you want to find out what happens next? Well, good news. The next episode is in your podcatcher right now. Stella Cheeks is at Stella Cheeks on Instagram and Bluesky. Sarah Moore is at Pixies and Pins on all of the social media channels and at pixiesandpins.com. You can also check out her Sarah's Table live streams on Twitch at Pixies and Pins. Omar Burgos is at Tailweaver. Check out his work on the Tale of D20's TTRPG channel. More information at ataleofd20s.com. Ben Banks is at DJ_Blindian on Instagram and SoundCloud. I'm Ansel Burch, and you can find me at The Indecisionist on all of the meta properties and on Bluesky. Special thanks to Cameron Avesk Davis for the song you're hearing now and at the beginning of the podcast. This has been an Indecisionist production. Go to indecisionist.com to find more of our work, including my monthly gaming event, TTRPG Pickup Con, and my other time travel podcast, Time to Party. As you travel at 1 second per second, take some time out for these intrepid adventurers. They may be in trouble, but only for the time being.